Hello, welcome to Taekwondo Training. I'll be instructor for today's show, Bob Lemire. What I'd like to do on today's show, basic combinations. I'm gonna go over some real basic moves, but show you how to gain more power. All right, and believe me, some of these little tricks I'm going to show you and the little moves to make your body quicker and stronger and faster. They're not hard to do. It's practice, you know. So, and I'm going to start off very basic. We're in our fighting stance. We know the fighting stance, like walking here. All right, shoulder width apart. Keep your hands up. What we're going to do is just a single punch. All right. And when I say a single punch, watch how I snap it. All right. I snap it. I come in here and snap. All right. Bah. Wait and snap. What happens is you're doing this snap, all right, and watch. It's hard for me to do this without giving myself a hip jog, all right? Because if I throw the punch without a hip jog, there's nothing, all right? Very light power. The hip jog, all right, see my belt? Just, all right? All right? I'm using my feet, my knees, my ankles, all right, to try to snap my body this way, all right, and be relaxed, to give me more power, all right? Instead of just going and using your shoulder only and your arms, you're using all your body, right from your hips. We call it from the hips, and we call it a hip jog. Grandmaster Mu Young Lee, my grandmaster, boy, he was a stickler in this. He tried, right off the bat, I want you to start learning how to move those hips. And it's in the direction, you're snapping in the direction. And what it is like, it's similar to a whip. You know, you look at a whip and you say, how can that, the little piece of the end of the whip, I wouldn't know what you call it, but how could that hurt so much? And how do you generate so much speed and velocity and power just by going like this? And what happens is it's all that one motion where it picks up motion onto the whip itself, whatever it's made out of, and by the time it reaches its destination, it's picked up enough speed, and you're hitting with that smallest part, all right? That's where a lot of the power just generates. It's the same as your punch, all right? Or back fist. See how it's like snapping a whip, right? I'm snapping. I'm not just snapping this way. Again, it's like if you were going to throw a football. When you watch people throw a football, quarterbacks or whoever, see my hip? They throw the ball, all right, after the whole hip action. So that's hip jogging, throwing the football. Baseball players, same thing. Basketball, people get a little juice on that, all right? Golf. You can't, if you golf like this, and you've seen people, newbies, all right, even oldies, if you do this with no body movement, no power, going nowhere, you have to snap. That's where all your power comes. So it's all these sports using the same idea, all right, the same theory. All right, so when you're here, your hands are up. Before you throw your punch, you snap. You go in the mirror and you go, all right? That's basic enough, I think. Your hands. And, I'll go over this again. Close your fingers. Close all your fingers. Take your thumb, put it down here. Don't up here, no over anybody. Right here. You're hitting with the two front knuckles here, which is your index finger and your middle finger. Those are the two knuckles you want to hit with. If you hit with the other two knuckles, you're going to get a bending action. And you could break your wrist that way. So when you do punch and you end up with that punch, you want it straight. All right. So let's do a combination now with a back fist, all right? If I do a punch, see how I snap? I'm using my knees, snap, and then once I'm done with my punch, someone's coming here to attack me here. I snap, put it underneath here, 1. See that? 1, 2. If you're fighting someone in front of you and to the side of you, you don't have to look exactly in any direction. Try to meet them halfway, a 45-degree angle. Your peripheral vision will see both. All right? 1, 2. Same thing with your back fist. All right? It's snapping like a whip. And you're hitting with the 2 fingers, the 2 knuckles, index and your middle finger, same as you would punching. All right? That's very important that you want to remember that. All right, so 1, look at it. I snap, 1. This hand's up, ready to block. 1, 2. Then I come back, 3. All right, 1, wow, wow. I'm throwing that first punch, snap my hip, snap it to the side, snap it back. Combination, 1, 2, 3. That's perfect combination for breaking a board, or breaking 3 boards, excuse me. Break, hit, break, all right? Just a regular punch, back fist, back fist. When you're hitting with the back fist, you're going to kind of go for the head area. It's a good area for a back fist. You're going for anywhere in the face, the side, the temple. That'll give you a good snap. All right, you can come here, snap. All right, back fist to the back. All right, see my hip? So punch, back fist. Go. You do a lot of these back fists, especially in the beginning. And Grandmaster Lee did it to us once. He made us work so much on our hip jog at one of his classes when we were younger. Everyone started getting the pain. It's like a runner's pain, if you know what a runner's pain. But they're getting this pain in the stomach because you're using stomach muscles also. And he laughed. He goes, if you don't have a pain, we're going to keep going until you get the pain. We're saying, why would you do this to us? But you develop a muscle and you develop coordination and everything, where once that pain goes away, it might come back a little another time, depending on how much working out you're doing. But you'll toughen up with that. It's like you got to work over that runner's pain that they would get, or any athlete. But if you're doing a motion like this over and over, your stomach's tightening, loosening, tightening, and you'll get the pain. It'll go away, and it's not going to hurt you. But it's like if you did so many, exercises, lifting weights, and you never stopped, and all of a sudden the arm's going to go, all right, enough. So you got to decide, if you don't have a grandmaster making sure you're doing it, you got to try to push yourself through the pain, all right? And if you do get a lot of pain, stop. Next day, do it again, or do some more, whatever, every other day. Your body gets used to it. Your body gets used to anything. You really have to keep training, and you'll get over a certain type of pain. All right, so 1, back fist. So 1, 2. Same thing as I punch here, and I do the back fist. I'm looking here, but I can see back. All right, I'm using my peripheral vision so that I don't have to turn. Once I turn, I'm not looking at that person. So scan, and a good practice to go like this with your hands, your fingers, and you can see how far you can go back. Look at it, I got it right there. So I'm almost straight out, and I can see both fingers or my hands. That's your peripheral vision, and you use that. You don't, if you're fighting 2-on-1, never look at one person alone. You're going to get hit with the other person. Common sense. All right, bah, hip jog, look at it. Bah, now elbow. All right, so hip jog. Instead of back fist, hip jog punch, elbow. Now, after I do this punch, notice how I twist my arm and then come back here. All right, there's a couple of ways you can do that. All right, you can come back, twist up. You can come back, twist down. All right, twisting up is usually good for when it's midsection, but 1. All right, 1. 1. All right. 1, 2. All right. If you want to do midsection, 1, 2. You can put your hands up. Normally you won't put your hands up this way because it's kind of awkward, right? You want to keep your hands down when you're up high. When you're down here, it's not as awkward. Right for the midsection, right? Wah, wah. Hip jog, hip jog. Try to keep your hands always around this area, all right? That's not doing any movement. Pretty easy. I mean, it's just common sense. And some of the technique you put together, combinations, make them flow again. Right? Don't do something that's not going to flow. We never talk too much reverse knife hand. And if you throw a punch, back fist, you can come back. All right? You're going to hit with the inside here. Take your thumb, push it right in here. All right? All right? A lot of people call a lot of these hand techniques, especially knife hands, ridge hand, arc hand, reverse knife hand. Different schools will call them different things. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. There's a knife hand, there's a knife hand, reverse knife hand, if they want to call that a reverse knife hand. So 1, 2, back fist. All right. You get that snap, and that's what'll put some power. All right. It'll add so much power. Do it in the mirror. Go 1, 2. Look at it. 1, 2, 3. There's nothing there. It's push into it. Push back. Come back down here. All right. Same thing, and say we throw a kick. Say we throw a front round kick. 1, 2, 3. Try to get your hip into that kick. 1, 2. From here. Snap it. Snap. All right. That's a whole nother show. I'm not going to get into too much hip jog with the kicks. A little tougher. You want to get the kicks down first before you can snap that body for a quick kick. But again, that'll give you more speed and power. Okay. Pretty easy. I'm thinking, and even if you did a low section block, see this snap or a high section block, all right? Snap. It's funny. I wore my watch, not thinking that I'm doing what I'm doing. I got to do everything with my right because if I start throwing these punches and blocks here, this watch ain't going to be happy. It's just going to shake too much. All right. Not that it's a great watch, but so I got to watch what I'm doing here, so I don't break that watch. But anyway, so here's 1, 2, 3 front round. Okay. 1, 2 front snap. All right, any kick you want to do after the combination. All right, and so if you're doing high section block and you want to practice that, look at same thing. Anything I'm going to do with my hand, I'm going to want to use my hip jog. All right, try to remember that. If you're going to use hand technique, work on getting the hip to move in to the direction of your attack. And it goes first and everything else flows. Right? You're in the mirror. Now, see how I'm picking up my back foot? All right? You don't have to pick it up way high like a golfer, but look at it. I'm in the fighting stance. If it's just doing a jab, snap. That's what a jab is. A jab isn't this in boxing also. That's not a good jab. Good jab is moving around, hand up, snap. You're snapping into it. And it's funny, I remember way back, I boxed myself a few years, but I used to watch one of the local favorites. And his name is Dickie Eklund. And very thin kid. But when he hit the jab, I've never seen a jab in my life as this Dickie Eklund had. And when he'd get up to the bag and he'd hit the bag, he was so fast and so hard with that, but it was all a lot of hip jog. All hip jog, Same thing, he fought Sugar Ray Leonard. knocked him down. And there was always controversy. Oh, he knocked him down, and everyone knows he knocked him down. But Sugar Ray was such a king of the boxing world. So they kind of let it, it would have been nice to watch a local boy like that win Sugar Ray Leonard. And his brother, Mickey Ward, became a great fighter. The God he fights second to none, 3 fights. You've never seen anything like yourself. So 2 brothers, one helped the other, I know. 2 different styles, kind of, but all basic, all right? All basic with the snap. And that's how you, even if it's a jab to the front, snap. Once you start practicing any techniques, say a knife hand, once you start practicing, go in different directions, different heights, all right? And then, wow. You can put any combination you want, there's thousands and thousands and thousands. And once you get combinations, you get some speed, boy, it looks good and it'll help you out to develop more speed. So you're never happy. A runner's never happy, a racer never's happy. You always want more, all right? You always want more power, more speed. There will be a limit to how far you can go, but maybe not. I don't know. All right? So if you keep practicing and make sure you're nice and relaxed. Again, being relaxed is one of the most important things in the martial arts or any kind of sport. Being tight, you can't move. But if you do it enough, if you practice enough, all right, you practice enough, and your body's going to have that memory, all right? We call it a muscle memory. Your muscles remember how to do things. So your brain says it, you do it, all right? It's a muscle memory. All sports, muscle memory, you remember that. Only way to get muscle memory is to completely do them over and over. Repetition, and that's it. All right, repetition. You got to keep going. Make sure you have an instructor. If you are doing a lot of repetitions, you're doing it right. Because you can do a million type of techniques, and if you're doing them wrong or you're doing something wrong, you'll either hurt yourself or you're not going to get the total benefit. I'm not saying everything I'm going to show you is completely right or 100%. Everyone has their own. Even in the same schools, you can be in the same school, somebody has a little different way he likes to show you stuff. But it all comes down to the basics, okay? All right, so once again, we're going to just go over very easy, all right? And again, when I say repetition, my repetition to you, I'll repeat the same things over and over. And it's almost like I'm not brainwashing you, but you're hearing the same thing. So, all right, yeah, I heard that. If I said it once and then never said it again, any technique that I'm doing, it might just go by. Say it over and over, and it's like, all right, this has got to be important, right? Now, if you're doing left and right, so you almost like boxing. So you 1, 2, 2, right? 1, 2. Right? It's not. Right? It's not that. And needless to say, that's how most people, when they start, how they fight. They don't know. Right? It takes a lot of punching, a lot of practice to get the relaxation. So once you have the muscle memory, all right, you're thinking about it, it's going to happen in a second because you're there. It's like your muscles and your arms and hands, they know what you're thinking. It's like now your body's uniform, all right? You're not thinking, say, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, too late, all right? Think it's done. That's how you want to work, all right? You're there. The minute you think punch, or sometimes you do it without even thinking because it's a reflex that we get in all sports. Notice I always say that in all sports. Taekwondo is a sport like anything else. You're using your body, you're training your body. And like gymnastics, someone who does those unbelievable gymnastics moves all along the floor. they can't think about how they're doing it. It's got to just be done. All right? You understand what I'm saying? If you tried to think about going that fast and bouncing around with flips and whatever, you couldn't do it because there's no momentum. So what happens, you do them so much that you just let your body go sometimes. All right? You let your body go. And my grandmaster, Mu Young Lee, would say, you'll never forget something if you do it the hardest and train the hardest that you can on that certain technique. You'll never forget it. And he's right. You know, if you haven't done something in years and years, you might lose it a little, but then all of a sudden you hear, oh yeah, you remember again. All right? So repetition. All right? Hip jogs. Wow. Right? Notice my ankles they're always kind of lifting up off the ground. If you see me doing techniques with my hands, 90% of the time my feet they're not stuck to the ground. They're up doing this. All right? Almost like a swivel or rocking horse or whatever you do. You're moving around. All right? You're moving around. You're not. Once you do that, once you ground yourself, gravity says, all right, I'm going to keep you down there. Because now you're going to lift up. But if you're already up, now you can move. Right? So if you're down, flat-footed like this, you got to lift up to make you move. If you're already up, you don't have to lift up. You just saved yourself a fraction of a second. That'll mean, in fighting a good fighter, that second right there going to mean whether you can hit your target or defend against it, a fraction of a second. There's always a faster gun in town, you know. They say, oh, he's a gunslinger. There's a faster gun coming in to challenge you. How do you think they get that fast with their? They do them every day, thousands of times. All right, gunslingers, yeah. Sometimes I just go off on a tangent and whatever goes through my mind. My wife tells me I don't have a filter, and she's right. It's hard for me to filter everything. All right, so again, and we're gonna make sure that after we throw our say a back fist, pow, 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 pow. Right? After we throw that kick, we're coming down in the fighting stance so that I can come back with another kick. Okay. Whenever you're doing any of these exercises, right and left. And he says that every week, right and left. You have to balance. You have to keep things balanced. If you don't, and you keep going one side, your body's going to have, your muscles are going to start forming in it one way. All right? Again, golfers, their backs are gone if they don't swing the opposite way. All right? You swing like this all the time, all of a sudden your back's turning this way all the time. You're not getting the opposite. Baseball player hits a lot of, you just swing the back. You don't have to hit anything. So you're doing everything with your right, go to the other side, everything with your left. What's great about that is now both sides, and I know, oh, I'm a righty, I want to use my right hand. That's normal, that's everyone. If you practice and get the other hand moving, it's gonna develop, all right? A lot of coordination that you probably never had before, all right? It might not be as fast, it might not be as hard, it might be, you know, like myself. If I throw a baseball righty, great. I throw it lefty, you know, it looks like my arm's just stuck here. Never practiced it. Always threw a baseball with my right. I'll swing my arm around so that I can get but I never really threw the baseball. Some people ambidextrous. You're ambidextrous, means you can do both sides fairly equal. That's a beautiful thing, especially in the martial arts. But you can develop it. And another good thing is if you do the opposite side, if you were to hurt this side and you're still fighting, like say this arm broke or so, you're still not, now you're going to have to use one side that's not as strong, but it's ready, okay? So always keep that in the back of your mind, right and left. And the hip jog, when you're doing a hip jog on your dominant side, it's going to feel better than probably a hip jog on your non-dominant side or your weaker side. That's normal, all right? Just keep practicing it. And especially if you only do hip jog one side and never did the other side, again, you're going to have muscles and you're going to have parts of your body that are forming always in this, and they kind of develop. You develop a muscle where the other side isn't developing. You develop one side so much, it's going to start pulling. It's going to have a dominant effect on your body. So right and left, right and left. And no matter how bad the other side looks like, right, just let it happen. Just let it happen. Go in that mirror and try to go slow and get the technique. Once you start feeling good, then you pick it up. You don't have to start also. You don't have to start from the beginning of your training, going hard and fast. You don't want to do that. You'll get hurt that way. Let your body get used to what you're doing. So go slow. All right? You got nothing to lose. Go slow. All right? Then once, a couple of weeks go by, a month go by, pick it up. Pick it up. Your body's going to get used to it slowly but surely. All right? And your muscles are going to develop. You're not going to hurt yourself. Number one priority is when you're training, any sport, Taekwondo especially, you don't want to get hurt. It's easy to get hurt by doing something wrong or making a mistake. Now you can't train. All right? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but if you've bad enough injury, you can't train for a week, 2 weeks, 2 months. Who knows? Knees and ankles are very weak, and you have to develop muscles around them to keep everything nice and tight. And work out slowly in the beginning. Throw a front round kick nice and easy. Bah, that's right. Okay? It's about all the time we have. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can train. The show's on about 5, 6, 7 times a week. Also, we're on YouTube. TKD, Grandmaster Bob Lemire. Check us out on YouTube. You'll see this show, and you'll also see the podcast that we do. I'll be doing a podcast right after that. And right after this podcast will be about working out, training, energy, developing energy. Thank you again. Till next time, train hard and have fun.